So if you were watching the channel on Thursday, you got to see me talk about Colorado, Shedeur Sanders NFL draft stock, and its offensive line. And I talked a bit about some of the players that are on that program's depth chart right now. One of the things that we did not catch, but I knew we just did not catch it, Savon Washington had transferred to Syracuse. Earlier this week, just slipped my mind that Savon Red had transferred to Nevada. A couple things on that. One, my bad, fixing it, admitting it to you. Doesn't matter that I may or may not have known these things depending on who you are and what you want to believe. It only matters that it made it out to you, which is not okay. That's on me. That's never going to be on anybody in the staff. You're always going to bring that straight to me. You're also going to see me in the comments. And you're going to see other people in the comments. I enjoy talking with you about college football, and you can see that most people come into those comments with their hands up, having things to get off their chest and things to say. You know, this about research, this about how I'm speaking. Like I had a lady get in here who goes by Martha in the chat, who is absolutely on one, trying to get off her chest what she thought about my cocky nature. A, yes, I am cocky. B, I'm sincere, right? I tell everybody I'm the same mean cuss with everybody I meet. But this also led me down a rabbit hole, because one of the things that I find interesting about this time in college football is that 30% of all FBS players will probably enter the transfer portal. We've come to just recognize that since the portal became an option in 2018. Everybody is more likely to try to play the lottery, if you will, and not necessarily want to stay where they originally intended to go, and probably spend the rest of their career and probably call themselves alumni or alumnus. Yeah, he is an alumnus. She is an alumna. They are alumni. And you end up where you end up because you want to get to the National Football League or because you just want to play. I tend to believe that in the age of name, image, and likeness, you don't need to get to the National Football League to be a professional football player. And I think that part is really getting under the skin of some. College football has always been an incubator, a proving ground for the NFL. But I will remind you that just the top 1% of the big-time college football programs are going to have players that are not just drafted but get to play for 3 years in the NFL. And when you can play college football and make the same, well, not the same, but life-changing money, right? Life-changing money to most people between, let's say, $50,000, which is a great annual salary for some, to 7 figures just for playing college football and getting your education. You don't have to make the NFL your North Star. That means that there are more opportunities for players that just want to necessarily have a good time and not necessarily be going to a place that is going to produce NFL talent. Though if you give the opportunity, you probably should, right? It's the difference between going to get a master's degree at a tier 1 research institute as opposed to the University of Phoenix. You do what you can with what you got, right? My master's is from the University of Oklahoma in professional writing, rhetoric. English teacher is what I wanted to be. Debate is what I love. Argument, dialogue, right? Give me a thesis, but then back your thesis up with some evidence and some opinion there. But the reason that I wanted to talk about Savon Washington is because I think he'd give us yet another good piece of insight into Colorado and what they are about, as well as joining another Power 5 program that is not dissimilar to Colorado in at least its record and what we expect from it in 2024. At least I expect from it. Fran Brown is coaching Syracuse. Fran Brown was defensive back coach at Georgia. Fran Brown is as energetic and out there as a recruiter as they come. He has the job that he wants. He has the job that he wants to keep for a very long time. And that way, we're kind of similar, right? You don't have to worry about that dude looking around the corner trying to do something else, right? I enjoy that. What I found interesting about Savion's move over there is that he followed Nick Williams, right, who is coaching edge at Syracuse, but also the relationship he had with Coach Williams is one of the reasons that he felt comfortable going to Syracuse, and his mama was a big part of this as well. And I thought what a 6'8", 340-pound offensive lineman had to say about playing for Prime in his first year as a Power 5, Power 4 head coach before we knew anything. All we knew was that he was bringing kids in and some kids were going out. is going to tell us a lot more than, say, the pieces in The Athletic last year that were all from guys that had not played a season of football at Colorado. They'd only gone through the winter and the spring, and we got the Louis and stuff. And you know that I don't really go in on that stuff. What I go in on is, did you produce? Did you win? And how do people feel about how you're producing, how you're winning, right? 4-8 is not the result that anybody wants. It is a 400% increase in the number of wins they had the year before. But given what we have come to expect from Prime at Jackson State, and frankly, what he had been doing as a head coach up until last year, you expected a winner. This year, there's actually a poll on the channel that I would encourage you to go vote in, because I'm trying to figure out what you think about, is 5 wins going to be good enough? 6 wins, 7 wins? I've seen people that think their floor is 8 or 9 wins in the comments of this show. And as I'm doing this segment, I'm thinking to myself a couple of things. One, there are a lot of people that really want Colorado to do well. Myself, I'm one of them. I'm also going to tell you what I think and why I think it. I'm not going to lie to you about that. I have no reason to be dishonest about any of this. What I'm telling you is what I believe, and opinions change based on fact. I was ahead on Colorado last year. I told anybody that would listen that they were going to beat Texas Christian. One of the reasons I thought they could do that is that Texas Christian had not really improved all that much in its secondary, and that was the thing that I knew that Colorado could exploit with Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, Xavier Weaver, and Jimmy Horn. Turned out a swing pass from Dylan Edwards was the difference between winning and losing that game against a nationally ranked opponent. They get off to a 3-1 start, but they start to lose to teams that you expect them to lose to. And then they did not have the depth on the offensive line, the defensive line to continue to pour into the season the way they had the first couple of games. And that was most apparent on the offensive line, for which Savon Washington was getting starts and playing time. And his decision to transfer seemed to not have that much to do with whether or not he was going to play, right? I think that he was one of 3 guys that they were very excited about keeping. Because when you have a man that size, all you really need to do is teach him better technique and give him time to gel. He wanted to take a road to Syracuse. So the first thing I always think about was not necessarily what the players say, but what their mama say. And I'm on Syracuse.com, where I'm a subscriber, and I was pained to read this article because I believe in good journalism. But Sarah Washington went out of her way to tell everybody she's not going to say anything ill about what Colorado did. Matter of fact, the quote was, "You can't discount the time at Colorado for anything. My son and Coach Nick McWilliams and us were able to be part of history. No one had ever seen what Colorado had done before." That is bringing in the amount of people and attention to that program. They're right about that. Matter of fact, you got to take it all the way back to Cordell Stewart, the last time that we cared about Colorado the way that we care about Colorado now. I realize that some of y'all are going to throw Rashawn Salam in here, but you got to throw Rashawn Salam in here. Whereas I say Cordell Stewart, everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? I say 1990 national champs with Eric Bieniemy at the tailback position, and everybody knows what I'm talking about. But as far as getting 10 million people for the first 3, 4, 5 weeks of the season to watch your football games, Colorado hadn't done that before. The number of people that wanted to be on the sideline for a Colorado-Buffalo game was ridiculous. It's insane. The number of stars that came out because of who Prime is ridiculous. It's insane. I think hearing a mother say that about her son is telling, because mamas, especially in my experience, mamas of offensive linemen, they hold them boys real close to the vest. I thought what Savon had to say was also very interesting in this piece, because he could have just slammed Coach Prime, and he didn't want to do that. I respect Coach Sanders a lot. Deion Sanders is a mentor. I talk to him now, so I don't want to say anything that could be disrespectful toward his previous offensive coordinator and things like that. He went on. They really made it more my decision as far as whether or not he wanted to leave or go to, when he left Kent State to go to Colorado to follow Coach Lewis, talking about his parents. They trusted me, and I feel like I made the perfect decision. There were other schools, but once I talked to Coach Fran in person here and then going to Syracuse, like, that was it for him. So I think there's a bunch to pull out of this. But the most important part of this that I want to pull is that Savon Washington feels fine about his time at Colorado, at least right now, or at least what he's telling us that he wants us to know when he talked to Syracuse.com about this, because I feel like one of the things that players and, frankly, media relations shy away from is if we think that there might be something there that might shed a bad light on somebody, we probably try to steer them away from that conversation. Whereas a journalist or reporter or anybody is just nosy, really, because you ain't got to be no reporter or no journalist or media to be nosy. You just want to know stuff. We would want to know what it was like for you to be a part of that, and then why the decision to transfer. And after you do all of that, then we will have our own thoughts and opinions, and that requires a level of vulnerability from subjects like Savon Washington and others, because you're leaving it up to the audience to form an opinion based on the facts that they are given. It's another reason why I am adamant when you come to me, you come with facts. Don't come out here with no opinion, because you expect me to come here with facts to surround my opinion. Here's a fact. Colorado got off their 3-0 start. Here's another fact. They finished 4-8. Here's another fact. They got a new offensive line this offseason basically because they could not protect quarterback. They gave up an average of 4.67 sacks per game. Damn near 5 sacks per game. They gave up 56 sacks in one season, and they got the quarterback's back broken. No matter what you think about Savon Washington or Colorado for that matter, that's the offensive line, and to some degree, Shedeur Sanders, because like pass rush is also coming from great coverage in the secondary. Great pass blocking is also, did the quarterback get enough time to get rid of the ball, and did he throw it? But after a time, and I tried to make this point very clear, if people are just in your face, you're going to start running away from them, and that means holding on to the ball. You're not going to just keep throwing the ball at people like that. You're going to protect yourself. That's what we say. You have to be able to protect yourself. And it was getting very clear that he wasn't able to protect himself. So, like, the way that I look at this with a number standpoint is Shedeur goes from an average of 66.7% as an efficiency grade, right? Like, he's that efficient, to down about 59% through weeks 9 through 13. This is according to Pro Football Focus. You could see as he was getting hit, his efficiency went down. If nothing else, Shedeur Sanders showed you that he is tough. There's nothing about that dude that is easily breakable. He could have folded. I think he was told not to play in the last game of the season because he could hurt himself further. But I also think that Prime does a great job of trying to redirect all the energy because he wants to direct it back to himself. But also, to this point, and I was talking about the NFL in this, and I'm going to stick to that, Prime the only dude out there with a gold jacket. Prime is the only dude out there that has won a Super Bowl. Prime is the only dude out there that can say whatever he wants to say, and it will stick because there ain't but one of him. That's why we call Prime singular, one, divisible by one, and himself. So when you're coming out here to defend all these other folks with NFL experience, I'm always going, how many championships did they win? You know, like, people count subscribers on YouTube to find out how much a channel is worth to them. And that's why I'm telling y'all, subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 100,000. You're going to see more content as we get closer and closer to that mark, because I would really like to see us try to get this thing done before we kick off for the first game of the season. That's a big stretch for us, but I think we could do it because 66% of the people that watch this channel don't subscribe to it. It's just as simple as hitting that button. But I did want to give this a little bit of air to breathe on a Saturday, because I think it's worthwhile and I think it's worth considering, though I've thought about it even now, and we might end up doing this segment Friday, just because I would like to follow this, because the conversation that we're having is important, and I want to keep it going. And let me know what you think in the comments below.